Welcome to the Financial Advisor Success Podcast, where you go behind the scenes with financial planner, speaker, and consultant Michael Kitces to hear stories of how leading financial advisors navigated the inevitable challenges that arise on the path to success, and get insight from leading industry consultants about how to break through to the next level in your advisory business. And now here's your host, Michael Kitces.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 450th episode of the Financial Advisor Success Podcast. My guest on today's podcast is Ryan Morrissey. Ryan is the founder of Morrissey Wealth Management, an RIA based in North Haven, Connecticut, that oversees $140 million in assets under management for 150 client households. What's unique about Ryan, though, is how he has added $80 million of client assets during the past 7 years, primarily by holding in-person educational retirement planning seminars that attract his ideal target client. In this episode, we talk in depth about how Ryan organizes his seminars into 2 3-hour classes, which gives him plenty of time to build a personal connection with attendees, how Ryan offers a personal consultation to seminar participants as an optional third session, framing it as an offering they have already paid for as part of the class fee, and how Ryan typically gets 2 new clients from each class session, representing an average total of $1.7 million in assets, generating revenue that exceeds his costs for holding the seminars in their first year with his firm alone. We also talk about how Ryan gets logistical support for his seminars by offering them through local public adult education programs, which secure appropriate classroom space and facilitate participant registration, how Ryan has found that charging for the seminars has led to greater participant engagement, and why he's willing to let the adult education programs keep the registration fees from his seminars given the revenue that comes from new clients who find him through the classes, and how Ryan markets his seminars by sending mailers targeted at households in his area that fit his target age and wealth profile. And be certain to listen to the end, where Ryan shares his experiences working in the wirehouse, independent broker-dealer, and RIA channels, and how he's thrived after gaining the independence that firm ownership can provide. How Ryan has navigated ongoing compliance obligations as an independent RIA, first successfully handling it by himself, and now working with a compliance firm as he's passed the threshold for SEC registration, and how Ryan ultimately experienced significant client and AUM growth after making the leap to firm ownership, going fee only, and simplifying his service and investment planning offerings. And so, with that introduction, I hope you enjoy this episode of the Financial Advisor Success Podcast with Ryan Morrissey. Welcome, Ryan Morrissey, to the Financial Advisor Success Podcast.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
I really appreciate you joining us today and getting to talk about marketing today and marketing by educating first, which I find like really seems to be the natural inclination for a lot of us as advisors. Right? We do this to help and serve other people. We all can see the need for more financial literacy and financial education out there. And so there's I just find like a lot of us advisors have kind of a hunger and a drive to teach and educate and help. And it also turns out that when you get in front of an audience and teach them, and then some of them decide they want more help, at that point, like who better to ask for more support and service than like the great instructor you now trust who's just been teaching you for the past hour or few. And even in that vein, like notwithstanding just the huge growth in all sorts of digital approaches to content and educating through content, or blogging and podcasts and videos and the like, we even still see in our marketing research studies that we do on the platform that seminar marketing, like dare I say it, like good old fashioned financial education marketing, seminar classes, like just getting up in front of an audience in person, teaching them something useful, and then asking some of them for their business is still like remarkably effective and actually shows up as more cost effective than a lot of the digital strategies that we track for advisors in the aggregate. And I know you have spent the better part of your career like building with that approach. So I'm excited to get to talk about, like, nerd out a little bit on why in an increasingly digital world, seminar marketing with financial education classes is still so remarkably alive and well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's how I've been building my business for the last 15 years. To just take a step back, like I started in the industry in 2001. I started right out of college with Morgan Stanley, and I had an internship one summer between my junior and senior year, and I realized I really wanted to be a financial advisor. The person I interned for said, well, I would suggest trying to get a job with Morgan Stanley or Merrill Lynch. This person was an independent advisor because they had good training programs. So I went there, and what did they do? They literally slammed a phone book down on my desk and said, start calling. Um,
Yes,
and
you
so
were. This was cold call. I mean, this is literally like before the do not call list. Like this is like
exactly.
this was the, I guess, like the tail end of the cold calling era, not quite the peak, but like it was legit how we started our businesses then.
It
Here's a
was.
here's a phone
And
book in a cubicle.
exactly. And then occasionally, well, eventually I found out about the reverse directory, which is where you could target like a neighborhood. If you knew, oh, this neighborhood has nice houses, maybe these people could be good clients, you could get that street and get all the phone numbers. It was a reverse directory. So we got a little smarter about who we were reaching out to. And we got some clients, and it worked. But then the do not call list came about. And now, right, you can't really call anymore. And I had a
Yeah.
friend who was teaching adult education classes, and he was telling me how well, he was doing. He had worked with me at Morgan Stanley, and he had left to join a small firm, and they're teaching these adult education classes, and they're getting these clients. And I went to Morgan Stanley, and they told me I couldn't do it because the people were paying to come to them. They're like, well, you can't charge people to come. You can do it for free. That kind of takes away from
Oh,
some of what we'll talk about.
okay.
So that was
Well,
part of the.
because I guess I mean particularly then, like I'm assuming we're still in the 2000s.
Yeah, this was in 2008, 2009. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that era, right? Just I'm thinking contextually, the hybrid broker dealer movement has not really gotten underway yet. So almost everyone who's had a broker dealer is quote unquote just a broker. Like um you've got your Series 7 license, and a lot of 7 and 63s. And so you're not like there's no IAR registration, right? So just like chart you literally have no mechanism to charge a fee. Like you can't in a pure broker world. There's just no way. And if you even try, the firm would be terrified that you're going to be deemed an RIA when you're not registered as an RIA, and then you're going to get slapped by the regulators for practicing as an unregistered advisor. So it was like, you shall not charge for anything that isn't a commission. Like that was kind of the mindset of the era.
That makes sense. I didn't know why at the time. I just know that I
Yeah.
was told I couldn't do it. I mean, I was I guess I had my 65. Well, I think I took my 66 originally, my 7 and my
Yeah, yeah. Some of
66.
us did
Yeah.
766, but like there was you weren't actually typically set up as an IAR of their corporate RIA. Like you were only doing brokerage business. So they just didn't have a mechanism for you to do the fees.
That's right. Um part of the reason why I left and became an independent advisor, because then I could actually charge people to come to these classes, which I think is very important, because if you give something for free, people don't really see a lot of value in it. And even if you charge a small nominal amount, like I'm charging like $60, $70 to people to come to these events I put on, people have some, skin in the game, so to speak. So they're more likely to show up. They're more likely to really value the content that you're giving them, because it's not just some free dinner seminar that you're doing.
So I'm I'm curious just further in that context. I mean, was it literally down to I really want to do seminar marketing. I don't want to do it unless I can charge. And if the firm won't let me charge, like that is going to be my catalyst to say, I think I need to go independent. Like, was it that tightly linked for you?
It was that, and also like changes that they were making in the comp structure. Like they had
Okay.
decided, like advisors that were there like so many years, we're going to take like a 10% commission or payout cut. So I was going to go from like 40 to 30% payout. It was already low, and so that combined with the ability that I couldn't market my business and was really struggling to get new clients, was the reason why I like left and I first went to LPL,
Okay.
because I had checked with LPL and they're like, "Oh yeah, you want to do seminars? You want to charge for them? No problem." They had no issue with it at all.
Okay.
So it seemed to me like the writing was on the wall. I'm definitely a late stage adopter. That's my personality. So I probably would have stayed at Morgan Stanley longer if these things hadn't happened. But in hindsight, it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me in my business, was this kind of push to leave and allow me to get to where I am today.
Interesting. And all It sounds like, and all indirectly catalyzed by the rollout of the do not call list that kind of started you away from cold calling towards other marketing strategies and then struggling with, but I want to charge for them.
That's right. I mean, I was taught, to cold call, and I don't know. I guess I was okay at it because I got some clients, and they were just really soft calls. Like, we're calling to help you review your portfolio, plan for your retirement. It wasn't like, hey, I've got this hot stock that I want to sell you. It was
Yeah.
really just to meet people, and I got clients, but I would definitely say in the last year, the year and a half that I was at Morgan Stanley, it was a struggle to get new clients other than from referrals because you couldn't really call anybody. And here I had a friend, as I said, who had left and was doing really well, and I wanted to do what he was doing but couldn't. So it was time to move on.
So did you get to try some like seminars that at least were free and get a feel for it and then say, oh, this isn't good if I need to charge them to get the buy-in? Like, was there I did free and really found that I needed to charge for it, or were you just of the mindset from day one, like, I need to be able to charge for these or I'm just not going to get the engagement that I want?
I had done some free seminars. I mean, I had done other events while at Morgan Stanley. I had done some, I'd set up an event somewhere and do it over a lunch or a dinner, and I'd do a mailer and I'd do some calling as well, and just had poor results. I remember I did one event and I had like 15 people that confirmed they would be there. It was at a nice restaurant, like, and for lunch. And literally nobody showed up. Not a single person came. And so I remember the waiter like taking
Ouch.
sympathy on me, being like, "Oh, I feel sorry for you. Enjoy your lunch. And by the way, here's your bill for, I don't know, $600 or whatever it
Right,
was
right, right. Because
for
you had
lunch."
to get a minimum to hold the room.
Exactly. I'd already
You're
prepaid for the room and for the food, and
so,
here nobody shows up, and I'm like, you know, this
so did
is
they
this has got to be a sign that this is not the right way to do it.
I've got to ask, like, did they box up the food and let you take home all
Well,
the
they
food
did,
that
but
you
what
ordered?
was I going to do with it? I'm a single, 20-something-year-old guy. I mean, I think I took it back to the office and gave it to some of my fellow advisors. But so
And so I'm assuming that's like it's moments like that, like I did a free seminar and everybody ghosted, that got you to the I'm not doing these for free anymore because people aren't really engaged.
that's right. I knew that I knew someone else doing it and was having success. So I went to the University of Delaware. That's my alma mater. And my friend was actually doing these classes at the University of Delaware. And he didn't even go there. And so I was kind of jealous. I'm like, well, wait a minute, you're teaching adult education classes. And he told me they did a class like over a weekend. They had like 40 people come to it, and they had all these potential clients they were going to be meeting with, and I'm like, wow, I'm really jealous in multiple fronts. You're getting in front of bodies that I want to do, I want to get in front of, and you're doing it at my alma mater. So it was time for me to try it on my own.
I could see how that, just like that confluence of events comes together. Like, he's doing it, 40 people came. I did the dinner seminar and paid $600 for take home food. And he even gets to do it at the school that I went to where I'm an alma mater and he's running the webinars or the seminars
That's
there.
right. And I even paid for a mailer. I have no idea what that cost was. I would guess like $1,000. Probably sent out like 1,000 mailers for the lunch seminar.
Okay. So so then what comes next in this journey of trying to figure out seminars and what they are and how to do them?
Yeah, so I end up, I leave Morgan Stanley. I go to LPL. At the time, I brought over like, I don't know, like 18 million of assets under management. I don't remember exactly how many clients, maybe like 60 or 70. And so I had a good base with me. I was initially working out of my house for like 3 to 4 months before I could find an office. And then I got an office. So I have an office space. So now I'm ready to do these seminars. And the initial company I was using, I've heard some of your guests talk about them before. They're still around, FMT. And so I signed up with FMT. That's who my friend was using. And Jeff Franz was the guy that was the owner of FMT, really great guy. He spent like, some time on the phone with me talking about it. So I make the investment to buy the license, and I think it was like $7,000. And then so he coaches me on getting my first seminar set up. And so I ended up renting a room at a local college And so I rent a room and I do my mailer. They recommended a 10,000 piece mailer. I could talk more about that, but I do the first class and I get like, I don't know, I offered it over 2 different nights. So I did like a Tuesday and it was a 2-night seminar. So people came consecutive Tuesdays, and then I offered a Thursday date. So they came consecutive Tuesdays or consecutive Thursdays. So I had come to that class. I actually still have the data in front of me. So that class I had 13 people come to it. And so now I've gotten in front of 13 people. I end up getting one client, from that first class.
Okay.
So, in my mind is success because I've gotten one client. So now I start to
So,
schedule the next one.
so what did it cost for you to do that the
So
first
that
time?
initial class was the $7,000 initial license. And then the mailer, I think, was like $6,000. So it
Okay.
was like $13,000, initial investment to do that class.
And I don't know if you know or remember, it's like how big was the client? Like, did one client pay for
One
itself or
client, yeah, one client brought in like around like $600,000.
okay.
So it didn't quite pay for itself like initially, but that
It's like
client ended up working with
it
me for like, yeah,
paid for the mailer at least. You gotta
that's right.
had to buy the entry fee, but 1% on 600 grand, like okay, 6,000 of revenue covers the $6,000 mailer, and clients are recurring revenues, like and then they work with us for another 10, 20, 30 years.
That's right. And the other thing too, when I went over to LPL is that when I was at Morgan Stanley, they were initially allowing you to charge for financial planning, like a fee. They had
Okay.
gone that route, but it was based on the net worth of the client. So I think if the client's net worth was under $1 million, you could only charge $1,500 to do a comprehensive financial plan, which
Okay.
was really, I didn't think, enough money. You might spend 10, 15 hours with somebody and, you're not really making a whole lot per hour in that sense compared to what people are charging today.
Right.
So I also charged, I think, at LPL when I went there, I think I charged this client like $3,000 to first do the financial plan, and then they
Okay.
decided after that they wanted me to then, manage their assets at the end of the process.
Okay. So that picks up revenue a
Picks
little
up
bit
the
more. I guess
revenue
you're
a
like
little
the
bit. Yeah,
financial outcome of right. Just like we're trying to build a business. It costs money to market. I need to get paid for
it
my
does.
services
It
to
does. Yeah.
be able to do this and survive.
Yeah.
Um, so so when you did the first one, because I'm always fascinated by where these things start. So what did you present? Like what was the session and where did you get it?
I mean, they had a lot of material. FMT did at the time. So it starts out like talking about goals, and then um, like tax savings options, like contributing to a 401k or the tax deductions, and then IRAs, and Medicare, Social Security, estate planning, investing, like the whole gamut of like as much
Okay.
as you could talk about within 6 hours, and to give people a broad overview on financial planning, on retirement
So
planning.
okay. So this is meant to be, it sounds like pretty like broad-based financial education for people who are accumulating towards retirement.
That's right. The mailer targeted people like 50 to 65. So,
Okay.
the mailer would say, you planning for retirement? Do you want to learn about this or that? And would show like what was going to be presented in the class. So yes, it
Okay.
was education. There's no sales. I mean, I didn't even really talk about like uh, how I could help people. It was really more just, if you're interested in getting more help, you can sit down with me for an hour and we'll talk about your situation. And if at the end of it you want more help, we can talk about those options. If not, at least I can give you some general guidance in that hour to help direct you in the right way.
Okay. And that's really like how you would set it up, at least at the time, just a statement that gets made at the end of the class, like if you're interested in getting more help than the 6 hours we've just been here, like I can meet with you and sit down for an hour. If you want more help than that, then we can talk about the options of how we might work together further.
That's right. I would talk about it twice. Once when people first came to the class, because I would collect an evaluation form at the end of the class, and I would in it would say, "Do you want to schedule a financial consultation?" So I would talk to people about how the class was going to go, and also letting them know that there's an optional third part of the class, and that's a one-to-one consultation. and I'll be collecting this form at the end of the class. And if you want to sit down with me, we'll review your situation and just check yes, and we'll reach out to you. If not, no big deal. We're not going to contact you.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
fascinating angle. There's a third part of this class because again, you said like your 2 sessions over 2 nights already, so you get, like, 3 hours on the first Tuesday, follow-up 3 hours on the second Tuesday because it's a 6-hour program, and there's a third part of the class, which is an optional one-on-one consultation if you wish, which I guess kinda has the it's not, right, I'm not giving away my time for free. This is part of what you paid for because you paid for this financial education class.
that's right. Yeah.
I can see it's a very different mindset shift than calling or meeting strangers and saying like, would you like me to do a complimentary review of your portfolio, right? As you did in cold calling, and a lot of us have done in cold prospecting. To me, just it's got a whole different connotation when no, you paid for this financial education class, and it's just the third part of the class is you can avail yourself of a one-on-one consultation to get a little bit more specific to your circumstances if you want.
That's right. I mean, most advisors in today's competitive environment offer free consultation anyway, right?
Yeah.
So why not make it part of the class, which it is, and they then, like you said, they paid for it. There's value in it, and they can take advantage of it if they want to. If not, they don't have to.
And you kinda mentioned earlier charging things like $60 for the class, like, was that actually the price, or at least, like, the neighborhood of what you were charging for this? Was that the rate that you were setting for this
That's right.
6
Yeah.
hours over 2 nights?
Yes. Yeah. I think it was as low. Might have been like $40 initially. It was in the
Okay,
$40 to $60 range. I don't remember, but that was where it was.
okay. So, uh, so share with us a little bit more, like, I guess I'm just trying to process I don't know, like, the mindset, the framework of we're reaching out to people and asking them to pay money, 40 to $60, and we're inviting them to come to a 6-hour, program. So on the one hand, I'm like, 6 hours is a lot.
Sure.
It's a lot to do, like, just from a delivery end. It's a lot for, just, like, the consumer to absorb, right? Most folks I know uh do things like webinars, like we do a 1-hour webinar, maybe you do a 40-minute webinar. Heck, if it's video on YouTube, like good luck getting longer than 15 minutes, or you can do shorts at 30 seconds. So like, I'm just fascinated, like 6 hours. So I don't know, just like share with us more of, because I know you've just been doing this a long time now. Like, I don't know, why does that work?
So as I said, I had a license with FMT, and it was a 7-year license. And when the license came due, I decided to start my own course, so that I could have more control over the content, because I was limited to the content that they were providing. So I really wanted to customize the content a little bit more. It still is a similar structure, right? There's certain things you have to talk about when you're talking about financial planning, right? That you're going to talk
Yep.
about. But I was able to really to customize and create more case studies. That was something that I wanted to do, is create more case studies rather than just kind of lecturing like an IRA limit is this, a 401k limit is this. Um, so, I did keep the same 3 hour, 2 3 hour sessions, because there's a lot to talk about, first of all. And I think the comprehensive nature really sets it apart from other courses or events or seminars that people can go to. People usually, I'll get at least a couple people that will straight up tell me when they're leaving that this was the best investment they ever made in their life, because they have a hard time getting this other information in other seminar type formats. So it is a long time. And
Because everyone else is trying to soundbite it into
that's right.
1
If you,
hour, 15 minutes, 5
if
minutes, 30 seconds.
That's right. If you only have an hour, you really can't get very deep on, financial planning. You could talk about one area and you could get kind of deep. But for people that have never worked with a financial advisor, which is what I find a lot of people coming to my class, and some of them still never do. There's definitely a
Right.
large amount of the DIY crowd that comes to my class, and they know a little bit, but I think their eyes are kind of opened once they sit through this class that, man, I really don't know what I'm doing. And I'm either going to decide to hire somebody that does, or I've got to really even double down more on increasing my knowledge base. So it works. I've experimented with some other classes where I do just do like an hour and a half or 2 hours and only talk about like Social Security or Medicare, a more
Okay.
specific topic. But I just have found that I don't build as good of a relationship with those people. I just think, as you
Yeah.
said, when you talk to somebody for 6 hours, and also there's a couple breaks. So I do talk to people in between. They might come up with a question they have, or during the presentation, they might interject with what they're going through or what their parent or friend went through. It becomes more personal, and I think building that relationship is critical. And you could even do three-hour sessions, right? You could make this even more expansive to build maybe even a deeper bond. But that would obviously require more time on both your part and the attendees' part.
Well, I mean, you make an interesting point about who's coming to this, right? Like that. I mean, in general, who raises their hand and goes to a 6-hour seminar, like they've got to have at least some DIY layer to them, perhaps, or they're just probably not putting themselves through a 6-hour program. But if you're motivated enough to go to a 6-hour program, you're pretty motivated, right? Like
Yeah,
something's coming down the pike on retirement that's got you concerned enough that you're willing to make that investment, which means you're probably a lot more motivated to getting to some kind of knowledge or other outcome, which to me just says like it's a good base for prospects, right? Like people who aren't more invested than spending 30 seconds watching a video short, probably not people who are very motivated to make a change or like hire an
sure.
advisor for the first time. People who will pay money for a 6-hour program, just there's a self-selection bias to that of like if I just think about people who are most likely to actually be getting to the point that they've realized they need to hire an advisor because this stuff's getting too complex, it's got to disproportionately be from people who are already feeling so much pain in that regard that they're willing to go to 6-hour seminars to learn things only to then go through the 6 hours and go, oh geez, I still have to know so much more than I do. Maybe I just need to hire an advisor.
Yeah, and I've because it's I was able to create my own course as I've gone through this. I certainly don't want to just give people information and leave them in a position where they feel helpless. Going through these case studies and also kind of laying out like how you can determine if you have enough to retire, and really showing people how to do it, I think has helped to at least leave people with, if they really do want to do it, they certainly can. I don't like leave people at the end of this thinking like the only way forward is if you hire me, right? Or another financial advisor. No, there's definitely for some people that really like this and really want to spend the time, you certainly can do it yourself. But if you don't want to do that, that's where a financial advisor can really help you. And but I give people the tools to go either direction.
Okay. Because I guess just in that vein, like I'm not here to try to sell and convert all the people because I know if I just do a good job for them, some percentage of them of their own free will volition are just going to come forward and say, I've realized that this is more than I can or want to handle. And I know you and I like you and I trust you because we spent the better part of 6 hours together already. Like tell me more about your services.
That's right. Yeah. And look, if this was a slam dunk seminars were, right, then everybody would be doing it, right? You'd go to a seminar, you'd get 10 clients, right? You'd keep doing it, and all of a sudden you wouldn't even be able to do anymore because you'd have too many clients.
Right.
So it's a good enough way to meet clients that it works, but it's not so there's no marketing strategy out there that's going to be like bring you so many clients that, and if there was, everybody would be doing it, it'd probably get watered down.
Right. So so then talk to us a little bit more about I guess just um metrics and how this typically works for you now. Like what uh I guess I'm even just thinking, kind of thinking through the funnel. Like what does it look like to you? What do you pay to get people in the room? How many people show up? How many of them like come through and set appointments and eventually become clients and bring some revenue? Like what does that formula look like for you at this point?
Sure. So, I mean, the first step to doing one of these is to getting a location that would be preferably at a school or college, because I think people are more comfortable going somewhere like that versus if you do it at a hotel. And I've experimented with doing some at hotels. They just don't work as well. So
Okay.
I already have, because I've been doing this a while, I have relationships with a couple places. I have 2 locations that I presently teach at, and I teach there twice a year. So once in the spring and once in the fall. So both are adult education components that local towns have. So most towns have some type of adult education curriculum, at least in Connecticut where I live, where like they can teach you how to do a cooking class or learn a language. But many of them also have like money matters or some type of money classes. So that's where this would fall into. So I already have these relationships, but if you didn't have them, you'd need to get one, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But so first thing is setting the date. So I set the date about 3 to 4 months in advance. So I already have my dates set for my fall classes. So
Okay.
we have the dates, and I teach the full class on 2 different nights. So as I said before, there's a Tuesday option and a Thursday option, and usually I have one start before the other. So like the Tuesday might start that week, and then the following week the Thursday would start, just in case somebody was away, to give people more options to
Okay.
come.
So this is the like multiple nights staggered week start. That's all built around. I'm just trying to give people more options so that when I like pay the money to do the mailer, because that's got like real cost up
Yeah.
front, there's an increased likelihood that they can do at least one of the things that I'm offering and putting forward.
That's right. And I even have people sometimes will ask me, well, I can come to the Tuesday, but I can't come to the following Tuesday. Can I come to the Thursday class? Sure.
Okay, can I
Whatever works for you. You know,
if you're
I'm gonna like,
if you're that motivated, I'm gonna figure out how to
that's
make it
right.
work.
Every class I start, like the Tuesday, that first night is the first half. The following Tuesday is the second
Right.
half. So
Okay.
they can mix and match.
And
Um,
and
yeah.
where did you end up location-wise? I mean, it's like where
So
in
my
practice are you
office,
actually doing this?
one location I have is about 25 minutes away, and the other location is about 15 minutes away. So they're
Okay.
pretty close to my office, so that people can then come to my office after. I used to
Okay.
do in-home meetings, but I haven't done those in like 10 years. So everyone is either, for the optional third part of the class, going to come in person to my office, or we can do it over Zoom if it's easier for them.
Okay. And and just what's the actual venue setup? I mean, just you
Oh,
said, like,
yes.
you're not doing
So,
hotels, so
yes.
what have
So,
you
like,
found?
one town I use, they actually have an adult education building or center. So
Okay.
it's in that location. So it's in a downtown area of a town, and people can park in back. There's plenty of parking, and they just come in the building and they go into it's not a classroom. It's like a meeting room. There's some, there's a couple tables and chairs. And if I
Okay.
do, when that venue, sometimes I do get a lot of registrations, they'll move me into a bigger room where they set up tables and chairs. You need a
Okay.
table and a chair because part of what the people get is they get all the slides for the presentation so that they can take notes. They need
Okay.
somewhere to write rather than just writing on their lap.
Okay.
And then the other location is a high school. So the other town, they just do their adult education classes at a high school. Plenty of parking. People are familiar with the location. It is unfortunately high school desks. So some people will complain after 2.5 hours that it hurts
Uh-huh.
to sit there, and I don't blame them. That's the only drawback is some people bring a cushion the
Yeah.
second night so they can sit on it.
Uh-huh.
But yes,
Ye What's
so
saying? Youth is wasted on the young, that they
that's
can sit
right.
in those chairs all day.
How did I ever sit in this desk,
I
all
know.
day back in the day,
No.
not even care?
Okay, so and so it sounds like one of the virtues of doing this through, like, local towns' adult education offerings is basically they're actually figuring out the venue question
That's right.
for you. Like, they've procured space with the high school or the adult education center in the area. You, quote, unquote, "just have to be an instructor with them to be able to run the class."
Exactly. So that would be the ultimate goal of anyone doing adult education from my perspective, is to get in with an adult education program so that they're handling the registrations and the room and any problems people have. When I first started doing this, I just rented a room at a local college that rents rooms. Many colleges and even some towns will rent you a room that you can pay a fee and rent the room, but you would then be handling the registration. So the mailer that you send
Oh,
out would be coming back to you. They'd be making a check payable to you, or if you set up like an LLC, however you do it, and then you would then have to send out confirmations and deal with a few other things that at this point I don't deal with because the two locations that I teach at, the adult education programs are handling all that part of it.
essentially, you get to leverage their infrastructure.
That's right.
So is there a cost to work with adult education programs to get in with them and be able to use their infrastructure? Like how do you get this door open in the first place?
So the cost really is that you're giving them all the revenue the class brings in. At least that's the way I do it. So the
Oh, okay.
sixty
So the
dollars they
$60
keep.
isn't you. You
Correct.
don't
I
get
don't
to
I don't
that.
keep any of that.
Okay.
So if I get
Okay.
20 people to sign up, I just brought them in revenue that probably a lot of other programs aren't bringing in. A lot of other programs might have 3 or 4 people that sign up, but you do the right thing with this type of program, you should be able to bring in like around 20 people, on average, 20 paying, attendees.
Okay. And so that's $1,000+ class. Like I'm assuming just for an adult education program, like $1,000 every time Ryan shows up, $2,000 when you do two of these. Like that's actually decent money and decent program for them.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you? I'm just still trying to like how do you get in with them, as it were? I mean, am I literally just like Googling adult education classes and the name of my town and just like cold emailing whatever website or person I find saying like, I'm a
Yes.
financial advisor. I'd like to teach financial education classes. Like, is it that straightforward?
Yeah, that's what you do. I mean, because I created my own course and I now license it to other advisors, I teach them a little bit more about that.
Okay.
But I would say the way that you do it is you have to have some differentiator, and you might get lucky that they don't have a course like that already. So that's a much
Okay.
easier way to get in there. You could say, "Hey, here's what I'm gonna do." I would try to get an in-person appointment and at least show them like the material and talk about how you run the class, and they're going to keep the revenue from the class. Um, and talk about how you market the class, how you're going to send out a mailer to bring people in also, and it helps. It helps.
Oh,
So you're doing that extra marketing that they're not doing because their mailer, as I said, would probably, from my experience, might get like 2 to 3 to 4 people to actually show up. If you didn't do the 10,000 piece mailer that we're going to talk about, then you probably would just have similar results that other programs do, like 2 to 3 people.
okay. So that's part of what makes it compelling for them is most things they do, they're just going to send it to their mailing list and their catalog, and they'll get literally like a handful of people. You're going to spend thousands of dollars doing a mailer trying to drive the turnout. And so from their end, it's like, oh, so you're actually going to be $1,000 program because most others we just put it in our catalog and it's $100 program for us.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
And
that's the big differentiator, and also just the content. From what I see, a lot of other programs are just one particular topic that they're talking about. They're just going to talk about Social Security or Medicare or long-term care, but you're going to do a comprehensive course and really give people a lot more information that's really good for the community.
okay. So when you talk about like be differentiated, that's part of the differentiation is again getting back to the like 6 hours seems like a long time. No, 6 hours is a depth of financial literacy education for the community. That's a plus that differentiates you.
That's right.
And I don't know if this is an issue or just like things that we can get stuck on in our head. Like, how concerned are the adult education folks that, at the end of the day, like you're doing this to market your practice and get clients? I'm just wondering if that comes up or not.
It definitely does. You have to be transparent in letting them know that the only thing you're going to offer to people is that if they want a review, complimentary review of their financial plan done, you'll do that for them, but they can choose to sign up or not. Um, and that's very transparent. That's what you're doing.
Okay.
Most people have no issue with that. I mean, I occasionally have run into where like a director changes at one of these places, a new person comes in and they then have an issue with it.
Okay.
But what I found is that when I explain to them what I'm offering, that the issue was resolved.
Okay.
But you certainly have to be transparent if you're going to do that, because you wouldn't want to go through all this effort and then you find
Right.
out you can't do it because they said, well, you're soliciting business. Well, you are and you aren't. I mean, it's not like it's a very soft solicitation.
Okay. And uh, uh, and so now take me through what's next. So I've gotten a relationship with my adult education offering. I've set a date. I guess I communicate it to them. They're going to get my room. They're going to set up my registration process. I guess I'm basically like I'm going to send people to their website to register, so I even get like a little shared credibility, right? It's through them. It's not just a cold
Yeah.
advisor solicitation. So what happens next? Like now, am I getting ready to do my mailers and figuring out how to actually get a turnout here?
That's right. You're getting ready to do your mailer. And so I have a mailer I've been using. And so the minor tweaks that we make to that mailer are the dates. Obviously, we have to update the dates and then just run it by the school to make sure nothing on their end changed, make sure the website didn't change, make sure the forms of payment didn't change. And then once all that's ready, once we've got that proofed, then we send that to the printer. And then we now have to we have to get the mailing list. So I use a mailing house that, or a list broker, you could say, to help get the list of 10,000 people. And I mail usually to age like 50 to 65 within like 7 to 10 miles of the location. And I also use some other like clarifier or like qualifiers to help me. Like I only mail the homeowners. I mail to some other like income producing assets to try to mail to a higher net worth client.
Like people who have other income producing assets?
Yes, there's this qualifier I found years ago. It's called like Claritas income producing assets. It's actually a thing that you can build a mailing list around. And I don't know where they're getting this data. It's probably sold by credit agencies, but it's supposed to like rank people based on who has the most assets to the least. And as a firm that manages assets, you're trying to mail to the higher end part of that. So yeah, so that we depends on the list, but we would try to get 10,000 that focused more towards the top of that end.
And and just geographically, like where are you? Like what is your metropolitan area that you're sending out 10,000 at a time?
You mean like how many people live in that area?
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, where are you? I mean, I don't know if you're in a metropolitan area that has 7,000,000 people, in which case you can do 10,000 and literally never
In
run
one
out,
street?
or yeah, yeah, or, some of us are in more rural areas where it's like, great, if I send 10,000, I'm, like, literally hitting the entire town, and I can only do that so many times before they stop telling me to mail it to keep mailing them. So
Great question.
where
So
are you?
where I am in Connecticut, I'm not in a rural area. I don't have data to give you, but it's not hard to get 10,000 names within 7 miles in the demographics
Okay,
I'm listing. So it's not a problem. It depends where you do the class. If you did it somewhere that was in a more remote location, it could be more difficult to get 10,000 names within 7 miles. But for
okay,
me to get within that age demographic and to get within 7 miles, usually we'll come up with like 25,000 names within where we're
okay,
mailing. So we're not even mailing to all the people that we could just in that demographic.
okay. And and how, like, how does this, I guess, Mr. Vice, how does this work over time? And you said you've been doing this for a decade, and I'm assuming you haven't moved. So, like, is there some point where you're mailing the houses that you might have mailed 3, 5, 10 times
Oh,
before
definitely.
over time?
And I
Because
used to
there's only so many within 7 miles of a particular location before you've just kind of saturated the area.
definitely, and I think that's a good thing. I used to think it was a bad thing, but people
Okay.
actually tell me, "Well, I've been getting this mailer for a while, and I finally decided it was time to come." And
Oh,
so, yes,
interesting.
yeah, because if you think about how the mailing list works, so I get a new mailing list every time I do a class, even if I just did it 6 months before. because a lot of people will move, people will retire somewhere else, they'll pass away. So if you don't refresh your mailing list, and I did this once, I used a mailing list that was a year old. I ran it through some screen that I was able to find. I paid like $50, and they somehow checked to see what was accurate, and like 1,000 names were not accurate of 10,000 just a year
Oh,
later.
oh,
So
interesting.
those would have just gone in the garbage if I had mailed to those with the postage, the type of postage that I use.
And uh, I guess the added dynamic that goes with that is when you've got an age-based targeting, because you're going 50 to 65, like, there's a certain number of people who turn 50 and hit your age demographic every year that are new. So you're going to have some steady influx of new just because people either move to the area, they age into your age filtering, or maybe they finally get enough income producing assets to
They
hit
make
the
it.
income producing trigger for the first time.
That's right. Yeah. So they might be in this. As I said, I've been doing this for a long time. They might have been getting my mailer for 10 years plus, and they might decide to come. Or sometimes I've even had people reach out to my office to meet with me that can't even come to the class. They just they just have read the brochure and maybe done some research on me and decided they want to meet with me, and they become a client. So it is another form of marketing in that sense. I mean, I have a podcast also, a retirement podcast for people 50 and older. And in the brochure, I actually highlight that. I put, there's just a small paragraph that says, if you want further education, you can't make it, consider checking out the Retire with Ryan podcast. So if you have some other thing like that, you could put that in there too. It is another way just to get the word out about what you're doing.
And so, who do you use, just like as someone who's experienced in the space, who do you use to get the mailing list, do the printing and mailing, and send all this stuff out? Because it sounds like it's not. It was FMT who did all that, and it's not
That's
FMT
right.
anymore.
That's right.
Okay.
So I've used different companies. Right now, I get my list from a company called Amerilist. I'll get the mailing list, and the mailing list is running around like $600. It's around like 6 cents a name to get a mailing list. So that's one
Okay.
part. And then I use another company. They went through a name change, but I think they're called Marketing Solutions Unlimited. They're in Connecticut, and they actually do the mailer. So they print all the brochures and they put the addresses on them and the postage, and then they bring it to the post office. They do like bulk pre-sorted mail, so they get all that to the post office.
Okay. So from your end, like, you just give them, I don't know, a digital file of the list um I guess, like, a digital file of the list of names that you bought from Amerilist, the digital copy of the brochure, and they print and envelope and postage and bulk mail. All that
That's right.
happens
It's not even
for
an
you.
envelope. So it's an 8-page
Okay.
brochure, and I don't remember the dimensions, but it's essentially two pieces of paper that are folded to make 8
Okay.
pages, and they just do like a wafer seal, they call it. So they fold it in half. They fold it a few
Okay.
times.
Yep.
And so on the outside of it, it actually has the printed name and address of the person
Yep.
getting it and the postage.
Okay.
So yeah, so not even an envelope. So I think it's even better because then people can see what it is before they decide to throw it in the trash, maybe.
And so what's the cost?
So the cost of the mailer all in, like I just did a couple classes this past spring, were about $8,000 each. That's including the postage, the printing, and the mailing list.
Okay. I guess that's just striking to me, processing that it's $8,000 for the mailer, of which less than 10% is actually getting the list of names, and the other 90% is making the physical mailer and getting the
The
postage and
postage, yeah.
printing and sending it to them. So most of the cost is that production.
It is, yeah. I mean, the names are only about 6 cents of, if you break it down, if just say 8,000, so it's 80 cents per piece. I think the postage is around like 30 or 32 cents right now. I forget what it
Okay.
is, but it's like bulk pre-sorted mail. And then so you take that out, that leaves 50 cents. So it's about like 43 cents to actually print the brochure, to procure the paper and print the brochure.
Okay.
So the mailer's gone out. I try to get the mailer to be in people's physical homes about 4 to 5 weeks before the date of the first session, first class. That way
Okay.
it gives people time to sign up. And so the signups start coming in, and usually about a week before the class, most of the people have already signed up. Occasionally, some people might sign up like last minute, but
Okay.
that's when the signups are usually coming in.
Okay. And so what is typical for signups for you? Or like help me with my expectations. What kind of turnout
Yeah, I mean, I've
am I expecting
averaged
here?
around a little over 20 signups since I've been doing the classes.
Okay.
And so
And that's between the two or for
between
each
the
of
two
the
nights,
two?
between the two nights, yes.
Okay. So like I'm gonna have 10-ish people in
Each
in
night,
each
yeah.
in each class in each night. Okay.
Occasionally, I've had it where like almost everyone signed up for one night, and I've actually reached out or had the school reach out to the other people to see if they could come to the other night and just taught it once.
Okay.
So that sometimes happens, but usually it's like fairly spread out. It's about half in each night.
Okay. Okay. So at the end of the day, like I'm $8,000 in to get in front of 20 people. Okay. Okay. So now keep me moving forward here. So
Yeah.
what
So
comes
So
next?
next, I mean, I have done this presentation hundreds of times, so I don't really practice it. But if you were new to doing this, you definitely would need to be practicing the presentation so that you can present it. You're not just reading the slides. You can share some stories, some insights, right? Things you've gone through with clients. And so I show up about like 45 minutes before the class starts to make sure that like everything's working, to make sure like the school provides the audio visual equipment. These classrooms already have like a projector in them. So I'm just
Okay.
bringing my thumb drive to plug in because my thumb drive has the slides, has the PowerPoint
Okay.
presentation. So I'm just making sure like the computers work, there's no problem with the rooms. Sometimes because these are shared rooms, maybe like another group was in there and the desks are positioned wrong, not facing the
Right.
front of the room. I might have to put my janitorial skills into play
Right.
and start moving desks around. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But I've had to do that. Sometimes we've even had to set up tables. They forgot to do the tables. So I want to make sure everything's right so that when people come in, I can greet them. I can get them checked in. I have a list of all the people that are signed up, so I'll check them in and I'll let them know that they should have gotten slides emailed to them. They used to print out the slides, but the schools I work with don't want to print them anymore. They used to print them and put them in a 3-ring binder for me so people would have all the slides. Now they just email them. So I want to make sure people have gotten the material emailed to them so they know they have the material.
Okay. And you're doing all this solo
That's right.
on your own? I mean, you're not staffing this with other people in your office. This is you.
No, I am the presenter. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so then you get underway. So what time does this start? At the
Um,
end, the
so
end of
one
the
of
hours.
them, it depends on the school. So one school closes at 9 o'clock. So that one I start at 5:30, and
Okay.
that will go till they generally goes most of the 3 hours. If I don't have a lot of
Okay.
questions, I can be done in like 2 hours and 40 minutes, and that includes a 10-minute break. So it's about two and a
Okay.
half hours of material. But if I start getting questions, a more interactive audience, which I actually prefer than me just
Right.
talking for 2.5 hours,
Right.
it'll go closer to the 3 hour mark. And I've sometimes had to let people know I'm just going to ask for no more questions because we're a little bit behind. I want to get
Right.
everyone out on time.
Okay.
So yeah, so I do the presentation. I usually hang around for a few minutes after. Sometimes people might come up to me and have questions about stuff, or they might come up to me and say, tell me more about how you work with clients. I'm interested in working with you. Let me understand that.
Right.
And when I'm done, then I head home. The other location, they actually close at 9:30, so that one I start at 6:15 because
Okay.
I think that's a little better because then it gives people some time to get home from work or maybe get something to eat before coming to the class.
Right. Okay. And and so I guess just talk me through a little bit more now, like uh how this process works as you get to the end, right? Just like we're ultimately there's a business purpose to this
Yeah.
of trying to get people through. So what are we ultimately building up to? Like how does this work?
So as I said at the beginning of the class, I mentioned the optional consultation, and then I'll mention it again at the break the second night. I'll mention that in case you weren't here or you weren't clear, The optional third part of the class is where we'll review your financial situation, and we ask for you to provide us some material in advance so we can be prepared for a more thorough discussion. We'll ask for your social security statement, your investment statements, your tax return, ask you to fill out the budget that we went over, fill out your net worth statement so that we can prepare and show you in our planning software like how retirement looks for you. So we use
Okay.
e-money, and my team and I will spend about an hour and a half like getting some of the initial data put into e-money so that we can at least show the attendee what their retirement projections look like in a rough fashion, right? It might not be 100% accurate if we don't have all the data, and
Right.
also what their asset allocation is. Some people don't even know their allocation.
Right.
So those are the two things that we want them to leave the meeting with, and then we give them a printout of e-money, a report we've created. It's about like 30 pages of different reports within there that show them like their retirement projections.
Okay. Okay. And so from a sale, I just sort of think of from a sales process. So you're in the like we're kind of giving them a lightweight initial plan as a part of the consultation. And then ultimately the ask is like, if you want to go deeper or you need help implementing this, then we'd love to work with you.
Exactly. So we offer two options for the people that are want investment management and maybe have assets that they could move or made sense to move. We offer an AUM relationship we call ongoing wealth management. And
Okay.
then for people that just want planning, if they either don't want somebody to manage their assets or maybe they can't, we offer them a flat fee financial plan to go through, everything we would do on the ongoing wealth management, but just as a fee.
And the driver to get them to the consultation is what you said earlier. Either you set up at the beginning of the class, right? This isn't a two-part class, this is a three-parter. There's an optional consultation as part of the class if you want it. Uh, or I guess, and when you do the evaluation form, you invite them to schedule on the form as well.
That's right. They check. And I even tell them, I say, listen, if you don't want us to contact you, don't worry. I will not. You'll never hear from me again. Just check no. If you want to hear from me again, check yes.
Okay. And so I guess I'm just trying to visualize, like, what does that form say? Like,
Oh, sure. And I'm happy
what's the call
to.
to action?
Yeah, it literally just says like I would like to schedule a consultation with Ryan and check yes, and then I have a little like time block like Monday through Friday like of preset appointment times that people can check off that are a fit from that for them. And then
Okay.
when I get back to my office the next day, I give it to a member of my team to reach out to them to call to schedule that appointment.
What if a whole bunch of them pick this, like, ask for the same time? Is that a
That's okay. They're not date specific. I don't have dates on there. It's just like, oh, Tuesdays at 9 work for me. Okay, we'll try to find a Tuesday at
Oh,
9.
okay. So they say Tuesdays at 9, it's just like, great. Then if the team gets several of them, then apparently I'm going to have 9 a.m. meetings on Tuesday for the next 3 Tuesdays.
That's right. Yes.
Okay. So it's just like days of the week and times of the day, and you just say like which days and times in general work for you.
Yeah, I've thought about like putting like my Calendly link on there because I use Calendly,
Yep.
but I just wonder if people would procrastinate and never do anything with it. So I still use the form and have them fill that out, and then we do the follow up call. And if after like two or three calls we haven't reached them, we'll send them. My team will send an email to reach back out to us or a link to my calendar right there, so they can use the calendar to schedule their appointment.
So now keep taking us through um I guess just the numbers of this.
Sure.
So an average event has 20 signups, or
Yeah.
like it has like 20 people that come to
Sure. Yeah.
the educational session as well. So how many of those say they're interested in a consultation?
It's about like a little more than 60%. So let's just say
Okay.
12, right? 12 people say yes to a consultation.
Okay. And how many of the 12 actually schedule a consultation?
Um, about like 80% come in and will have the consultation. So it's a
Okay, so
pretty
I'm
high
probably getting like
percentage.
10 out of 12 or
That's right.
something.
Will physically come in. Some of them will just like will schedule or cancel or then never reschedule.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
about 10 will physically come in or have a Zoom meeting with me
Okay.
within like a month or two after the class.
And then how many, I'm assuming next step is essentially how many become a client, either planning only or ongoing wealth management.
It averages 2.
Okay.
So sometimes it's higher. I mean, I might have a class where I got like 4 clients. Sometimes it could be 0. So
Okay.
it's in that 2 to 2.5 range.
Okay. 2 to 2.5 on average.
Yeah,
Okay. So okay. So I'm just processing through. So like basically like of 20 people who come, 2 of them end out actually really becoming clients.
that's right.
There's not the 20 who come, 2 end out becoming clients.
Yeah.
And you
So
were 8 grand in. So
that's
this
right.
is plus some of your time, couple of evenings out, we got to be
Yeah.
fair, but
Oh yeah.
like you're basically $4,000 plus a couple of hours of your teaching time per new client.
That's right. Right along your average of client acquisition costs, I think, that come
Yeah.
out in your studies, right? 3 to
Yeah.
4,000. Yeah.
We see most advisory firms, if you put in like the cost of their time and the financial costs and all of it are right in a like $3,000 to $5,000 range. Technically our referrals are much lower because I spend almost no time on them and they just kind of show up and the math is good. But I have to offset that against like other marketing things that I do that don't work so well. So the average ends out right in there.
That's right. And so I've been tracking like since I've been doing these, which is kind of crazy. So I average about 1.7 million of new client assets from each class. And like since that, because I've done 53 classes since I've been doing them, I brought in like $80 million in that time frame, roughly in 15 years.
Across how many classes? 50,
53.
53
It's a little,
classes.
yeah, it's like 1.7 million, I think is what it averages. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, two to 2.5 clients that are averaging right around 750 to a million.
That's right.
Because I was going to ask in that regard, right? I may be carrying all sorts of like inappropriate biases or mental models here, but there is a part of me that's like, do quote unquote good clients sign up for local adult education seminars? Like, is that really where I find client opportunities? I mean, it sounds like the answer is yeah, it really is. Like they really are coming.
For sure. I mean, my clients, I'm very fortunate, are wonderful people. There's obviously always the jerk client, right? That will come to this, and you can kind of tell even at the class. So this is somebody I don't want to work with.
Uh-huh.
But a lot of wonderful people, come to these classes and are very enjoyable to work with, and have been clients for years. That I have some of my original clients from my first classes are still with me.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. So uh the dollars really hold up fine for you. Do you have, I don't know, just asset minimums or something similar
I do. It's
for
five hundred
filtering?
thousand dollars.
Okay.
Yeah, is our minimum for a new
Okay.
client. So yeah, I mean, I have some relationships from these classes that are in the $5-6 million range. And some that are right at the 500,000. So it's a range of people that come to it as far as net worth and um, you know net worth level.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. And so, I mean, I'm presuming since you've now done 50 something of these over the years, just the math works for you. Like just to be 8 grand in for 2 clients and $1.7 million coming out. I mean, just I can kind of napkin math that pretty straightforward, right? On average, 1.7 million is 15 plus $1,000 of AUM fees, depending on where your breakpoints are. So like your 8 grand plus your teaching time in, and 15 grand plus coming out. So like it's $2 out for every $1 in.
Exactly. Yeah, I had calculated it was 193% return essentially, and I'm only counting 1 year in. So as I said, a lot of these clients I'm still working with, so that revenue is still coming in. It's building on itself. So this has helped me. Like I started my own RIA in 2018, and presently I have about 100. I started with 30 million, and now we're at 140 million 7 years later, roughly. And a lot of that growth has come from the classes, from clients that we have brought aboard from classes.
Interesting. And so I guess then my like sort of questions from here. So what's changed or iterated or evolved over time? I mean, I'm assuming there's some parts of how you do this that are different than what it was originally.
I think the focus on moving to a fee only advisor has been the biggest change. So,
Okay.
like, back in 2016 or 17, I thanks to my wife, she's really technologically savvy. She found you on Twitter and said,
Ah,
"Hey, there's this guy, this guy you should follow." So I started following you on Twitter, and then I started following your blog, and then obviously you launched this podcast that I'm now on. And so I didn't even know what a fee only advisor was back then, even being at LPL. And so that definitely opened my eyes. You talking about that also, and Alan Moore, and it really gave me the push to be a fee only advisor. And so I was at LPL, and some changes that happened at LPL. I wanted to start my own RIA, and they originally told me I could do it on their platform, but they went through some changes and then decided I couldn't. So I ended up moving over to TD Ameritrade, and I kept my broker dealer license with a company called PKS, which is a RA friendly broker dealer. But my
yeah.
plan was to go fee only. So about a year and a half later, once I had transitioned enough of my clients over to the fee only relationship, I relinquished my broker dealer license and also my insurance license. And so as part of that process, I think my process to work with clients got a lot easier because I also simplified my investment management offering. We have 6 different models that we offer to clients, and there's some customization that goes on with that, but it's not like we're selling hundreds of different investment strategies. So simplifying that, and then also making it one of two choices: either you work with me for a financial plan, or you become an ongoing wealth management client, as a percentage of AUM. So I think simplifying that offering also helped me to scale faster and to, make these classes a little more effective as well.
So now I've got to ask relative to, the I was gonna say like the obsession with digital in the modern age, or it's like the steady drumbeat of, the future is blogging, podcasting, video, etc. And you've got this it's called like just distinctly analog approach, right? It's like I get in a room with other human beings and we talk. Uh, like I'm really curious first how someone like you thinks about digital, if you've experimented with digital channels, and how you just your like digital versus in-person balance here.
Yeah, so I mean, I have other marketing. Like I do have the podcasts that I do every week. I've had for about 5.5 years. The Retire with Ryan podcast. I about a year and a half ago, when I was recording those podcasts, I started using video also. So I have a YouTube channel, the Retire with Ryan podcast YouTube channel, and I also do some other videos just for YouTube and some shorts. And so that has gotten me a client here or there. And I don't put a lot of money into that. I don't like market it. I just pay for a little bit of editing that's being done. But I
Okay.
still go back to this, that these, analog classes are still getting me the majority of new clients and prospective client opportunities. That the podcast and the YouTube video, and I wrote a book too. Like those things are good, but really this mailer and these physical classes still seem to be the biggest driver of growth and opportunity for my firm.
Interesting. And so it sounds like even in that regard, your experiments with digital aren't like, hey, can we do digital ads to fill the in-person seminar room? Digital for you is I'm an educator. I teach, I make content, I teach things. So instead of only teaching the seminars, hey, I can do a podcast, I can do something online, I can do video, like I can get my educational stuff out there in other digital channels in addition to the on person, in addition to the in-person channel.
No, I would say recently that's what I've been doing, but I have
Okay.
experimented with marketing this over Facebook. So,
Okay.
like other advisors, I think I heard another advisor on your podcast years ago, and they were doing a similar type seminar.
Yeah, Samantha Bazaar.
Okay.
was doing this sort of similar thing. Like they had an in-person seminar that they've been doing for a long time. As memory serves, they did it in libraries. But their angle was Facebook ads to fill the room instead of
Yes.
instead of print mailers to fill the room, because she would like, I mean, similar in style to what you're saying, or like Facebook has creepy amounts of data with on us. So it would be like age 50 to 65, reasonable affluence within 7 miles of the library, because Facebook knows where you are. So they were doing it in a digital manner, but like they weren't doing webinars. They were doing in-person seminars. The Facebook ads were just the alternative to the print mailers, basically.
That's right. So I think I might have heard that or read somewhere else. So I experimented with that and I just found very poor results. So like I would do a class and
Interesting.
I would do a mailer. I never, I did one where I only did digital, but let's say I spend $2,000, I would get like two people that came to the class from that $2,000. So it didn't really seem like it was working for me. I did
Okay.
one class where I think I just tried to do digital and I spent like $5,000 or $6,000 and like two people showed up.
Okay.
So I just never able to figure out the formula. And I hired like different agencies and people to help me, and it just didn't seem to work for me.
Oh, which one? Agencies are not inexpensive. So I'm envisioning like that was a not inexpensive series of experiments to just come back to. It turns out good old fashioned physical mail that shows up in people's mailboxes actually really does still get read.
Yeah, and I was hoping for a better return. I was hoping like
Sure,
I could
sure.
spend 2,000 and get 20 people to show up. Well, then this would be great. I'm saving, $5,000-6,000 on the cost of the marketing of the course, but I was never able to do that. And then I just kind of decided, you know what, this is not working, and I totally stopped doing the Facebook and just kept doing the mailer.
I mean, the numbers you're sharing, right? Essentially, like digital wise, it was costing you $1,000 or $2,000 to get each person in the class. And the mailer at the end of the day, like if it's 8 grand and 20 people show up, it's $400 per person per prospect into the class, instead of $1,000 or $2,000 per prospect into the class. So
That's
just
right.
the print was just a better cost per attendee for putting people in the seats.
Yes. Yeah, it continues to be.
So then what is all this kind of add up to today? Like, just help us understand the advisory firm now as it exists today, and what it's grown to with, a decade plus of seminar marketing.
Yeah. So as I was saying, it's about 140 million of AUM. I have roughly like 150 clients,
Okay.
and I have a full-time administrative front desk staff member, and I also have a part-time paraplanner who works about
Okay.
30 hours a week. And so that was my staff for a long time. Like I was for about like 5 years. That was my staffing model,
Okay.
and to build
So
to
like
where I
you
am.
you had so you added these people when you were on like 80 to 100 clients, and you just added clients incrementally, and that gave you enough capacity to keep adding clients.
That's right. So my first hire, like most, was like a front desk admin person, paperwork,
Yep,
client
yep.
cashiering requests. And then I was just getting so busy with existing clients and also prospective clients that I really needed a paraplanner, somebody who could help me do more detailed analysis. So I had a virtual paraplanner that I found through that Simply Paraplanner
Yeah.
website that worked well for a while. I was working like 20, 25 hours a week. But then I just decided after like a couple years of that, I really wanted a physical in-person paraplanner
Okay.
so that I could collaborate with them more easily. So I hired a full-time person who was with me for about a year and a half, but he just wasn't really passionate about the business, so he wanted to move on to another opportunity. But now I found someone else who had industry experience, who's wants to to be has younger children and wants to be able to work part time, and it's a great balance that we have
Okay.
for that.
So what does revenue add up to for you guys now?
Revenue is this year projected about like 1.2,
Okay.
1.25 million.
Okay. So you really are right in the like typical clients, just shy of 1 million, typical advisory fees a little under 1%, with breakpoints and householding and all the things that we do. Like, just to me, those are really like solid dead on numbers. Your revenue yield relative to AUM is actually a little higher than a lot of advisors.
Yeah, less than a million, our fee's 1.25, and then at a million it goes down to 1, and then at 2
Okay.
million goes down to 0.85, and that's on everything.
So if I get to 2 million, it's 0.85, like retroactive back to dollar
Exactly.
one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess just I'm curious, like how are you feeling about capacity at this point? Like as you're sitting at 1.2 million of revenue and 150 clients with full-time admin, I guess you're like three-quarter time uh paraplanner. Like how is capacity for you? What comes next for you?
Yeah, I still have capacity. I mean, some of these other interests that the podcast, YouTube channel, they do take up some of my time. As I said, I wrote a book like how to find and hire a fee-only financial planner, so that took some time. And then recently, I've started a website. I found from writing the book that it was hard for people, consumers, I think, to find fee-only financial planners. So I started a website called findmyfiduciary.com where other
Okay.
fee-only financial planners can list themselves, for a small annual fee. So that my hope is that I can get, thousands or the majority of fee-only financial planners to sign up for this. We verify that they're a fee-only financial planner by checking, their ADV and making sure they're, as best we can that they're fee only. So some of the projects like that, I'm spending a little bit of time on, but
So
yeah.
what's the cost for Find My Fiduciary?
It's 39.95 a year to sign up.
Okay.
Yeah, to be listed on there and have us verify that you're fee only and
And
maintain the website.
and then the goal is to market it out there over time. To
That's right.
to market
Yeah,
the site, to
I,
market the
to
platform.
market to as many fee only financial planners, advisors as I could get the word out about that, so that hopefully there's one directory that the only barrier to entry is that you're fee only. There's no other requirement of any other membership.
Okay. So as you reflect on this journey, just what's surprised you the most about building your own advisory business?
I guess the time frame that it took me, I think, to really gain momentum. As I
Mhm.
said, I'd been doing this for a while, and when I launched my own RIA, I mean, I'd been doing this for like 17 years and was at about 30 million of AUM. I would have thought at that point I would have been more, further along with more clients and more assets under management. And
Yep.
so there's definitely a period where there's a lot of stagnation, and I think it was because I was trying to be too many things to too many people. And,
Okay.
was because I was still working under the brokerage relationship. Some people might want an annuity, or they might want a real estate fund, or they might want a mutual fund. There was too many things. I was trying to be too many things to too many people. And I think when I really simplified my offering and just more clarified what my core principles were and how I work with clients, it allowed me to scale at a faster rate.
So what changed? I mean, like what I don't know, what made that such an unlock? Because I mean, I'm really struck by it, right? You're 17 years to get to 30 million and then seven more to get from 30 to 140. It's like a proverbial hockey stick of of
Yeah,
like
yeah, the J,
change
yeah.
change in change in growth trajectory. So I guess just help us understand more like what changed, or when you said like you want to get more focused, what did you actually do and how did it show up?
Well, I think part of it would be just discovering like your content and other similar thought leaders on the fee only movement. So I think that's a little bit of a differentiator. And it wasn't like I wasn't trying to grow before then. I just think that simplifying what I was doing allowed me to manage it more easily. And I think also the other thing too is starting my own RIA. I think that had a really large impact because even when I was at LPL, I was part of another RIA. I was still running my own business, but I was paying them about like 25% of my revenue just to supervise me. And having that money to be able to then reinvest it back into my business for, office, a nicer office, maybe some better technology, staff, marketing. I think that was really a key driver as well as the simplification of the offering that I for clients.
So as you went through this like simplifying of the offer, did you have to actually transition clients that had come to you through the various versions of the other things over the years? Like what happened to the people that you were serving back when you were more and anything for everyone?
Yeah, most of those clients came with me. I as I moved to only having those 6 models, most of my clients, I could transition over to those models. Like, I was using some
Okay.
third-party investment managers in addition to, like, some of LPL's managers and some of their platforms, some of my own. So I just slowly transitioned all that into one, strategy or strategies that could more easily be managed. Some of the brokerage clients, I did end up just having to not be able to service those accounts directly anymore. If they had, like, an annuity that had really good living benefit and it made no sense to get out of it, then I just advise the client where I can on that. So I was added as like an interested party where I could, because I didn't have a broker
Okay.
dealer license anymore. But
And so what was the low point for you on this journey?
I would say just kind of the frustration, probably in, like, 2015, 16, where just feeling like I was putting a lot of effort in and was just having a hard time growing. Looking back, saying, I'm doing a good job, but I feel like I could be doing a better job. Would probably be the low point.
And and is that what then spurred I'm going to simplify down to fewer models. I'm going to transition RIA. Like, is there like a cause effect linkage
Yeah,
there?
I would say from on your website, there was an article that was titled "How I Started My Own RIA for Less Than $10,000."
Yep.
So having read that, and definitely some encouragement from my wife telling me, you know what, you can do it, you can be your own RA, and she knows nothing about this industry, but she just believed that I could do it. And doing some research, just really taking that next step, I think was really what happened, because again, allowing me to control more of how things are being managed, to reinvest back into the business, was really what has helped me to get to where I am today.
Interesting. So the better margins that came from just not having a platform taking such a slice so that you could reinvest staff and marketing and more control. Those were your drivers.
That's right, because there's less drama that you're dealing with, right? If it's just a smaller business, and
Yeah.
there was some drama that happened at some of the previous places I was with. So, keeping that out of the workplace is always helpful.
So what else do you know now you wish you could go back and like tell you from 10, 15 years ago as you were, starting down the like seminar marketing
Yeah.
route and like the building process that's gotten you here?
I mean, it's easy to say that, oh, I should have gone RIA sooner. I mean, I didn't even know what an RIA was back then. Um, I mean, that would be the only real thing I would have done differently, is gone RIA sooner. And, I definitely learned some things, like affiliating with the other firm that I was with at LPL. So there was some good things I got from that, but that would be the biggest thing that I would say to anybody listening that's thinking about starting their own RIA, is that take the leap. The biggest thing that why I didn't do it is that I thought the compliance burden was going to be really onerous and that I wouldn't be able to handle it. But I've been able to manage it, and I think that any person who is committed to doing it with can definitely do it, and I would encourage people.
So how do you handle it, manage it at this point?
Initially, I had a firm. I think it was forgetting the name, Advisor Assist maybe,
Okay.
in
Yep.
Boston, helped me set up my firm. So they set up my firm. They got me state licensed initially, and they gave me the blueprint of how to operate. And with not really doing anything exotic, right? I'm just doing standard financial planning, investment management. There's not a whole lot I have to worry about as far as violating compliance requirements. So I was able to manage that on my own for a number of years without any problem. But as I continued to grow, and now I've actually applied to become registered with the SEC, because I just went over the threshold like last year,
Yep.
and so I'm now working with another company where I'm paying them monthly RIA registrar, out of
Okay.
I think they're in like Minnesota, and they've been helping me to become SEC registered and deal with all that comes with that. So I have more support now because I can reach out to them with issues, whereas before I would just kind of try to figure it out on my own, or I would like just pay like ad hoc, hourly for advice when I needed it.
And can I ask what you're paying monthly to them? Like not to price them, but just like,
Yeah, I think I
as a business
pay.
owner, how much money do you throw at this problem to make this problem go away?
Yes, I think I'm paying like 300 or 350 a month. It's right in
Okay.
that range, so it's very reasonable.
Yeah,
And
so like
yeah,
3 or 4 grand a year on 1.2 million. It's like, okay, the staff support that you need to help is costing you like 0.3% of revenue
yes,
to
it's very minimal.
cover
And
compliance.
you think about it, not to knock anybody that's paying somebody to supervise them, right? It's certainly out of sight, out of mind. I've gone through 2 audits, right? And it's not always fun to go through an audit. So there's definitely things that I've dealt with that if I was paying someone else, I wouldn't have had to deal with. But it's certainly, if you're adding another 10 to 15% of your profits back into your business to reinvest, like that can really help you to do some different things versus paying someone else to supervise you.
So, what advice would you give younger, newer advisors like looking to come into the industry today?
I would tell them to definitely, if they were serious about the fee only business, to seek out a fee only firm where they could have some good mentorship and get some good experience, or even just working, for non fee only firms, getting some good mentorship and experience. And then if they're entrepreneurial and they really, love this business, then think about, starting their own RIA, after they've been in the business 5 to 7 years and have the experience, and they can really call the shots with how they operate their business and how they choose to manage their business going forward.
So you're not necessarily in a like hang your RIA shingle from scratch day one. You're like go get experience and mentorship somewhere else and then like come back in 5 years.
I think so. I mean, you certainly can do it with no experience, but there's just so much to learn in this business that probably at least 3 to 5 years you'd need, interacting with clients, I think, to where you can now go hang your own RIA shingle. I mean, I know people do it with less, but that's what I would probably think is best.
So as we come to the end here, this is a podcast about success, and one of the themes that comes up is just like that word success means very different things to different people. And so, you've built the business now to this wonderful place. You're the proverbial $1 million+ practice, SEC registered. It's like the business seems to be in a wonderful place. How do you define success for yourself at this point?
I would say I would define success in a couple ways. One, continuing to bring attention to the fee only movement to try to bring more people over to that. Because I think in the long run, as I've heard you say, it really elevates this from an industry to a profession, and where the consumer would have confidence that, just like going to the doctor, that they're going to have somebody working in their best interest as a fiduciary. And continuing to promote that, through my book and through the Find My Fiduciary website, but also trying to encourage more people to come into this business, because we do have a problem where it is a much older makeup, right, of financial advisors. The average age is up there, and because we're going to need that, we're going to need more people to be able to serve the clients that are looking for help and guidance.
So what about for you personally?
Personally, it would be to just continue to, as I mentioned, I have a newer advisor in my firm, to continue to mentor him and, see him grow and flourish. And hopefully as we grow, maybe even bring on other advisors that, I can help mentor and be able to, succeed in this industry and profession and help other people, along the way in the right way.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us on the Financial Advisor Success Podcast.
Thank you, Michael.
Want even more ideas, tools, and resources on how to break through to the next level of success as a financial advisor? Check out the leading financial planning industry blog, Nerd's Eye View, at www.kitsis.com, where Michael covers the latest practice management trends and financial planning strategies. And by joining the members section, you can earn IMCA and CFP continuing education credits, along with exclusive member content. Get it all now at www.kitsis.com.